safari.
What's up, guys? It's Opex. It's been a while. I'm going to return back to my series. I was starting a series, and it's still a little bit secretive about what the topic actually is, and I think that you're actually going to learn a lot about it today. And I'm going to talk about something that's very important. It's actually the fabric of existence, or at least our interpretation and perception of that existence. And I think it's a very, very big topic, so we're going to have to dive into it here. Basically, I was making a series. In the series, I have 3 videos already. Part 1 was the powers that be. Part 2 was, I think, something along the lines of Satanism and Luciferianism. And then part 3 of the series was occult and the secret societies. Now, watch those 3 videos before you watch this one, because this is actually something that's going to dive into all the aspects of what I'm talking about. This is actually the fabrication, the beginning, the initial building blocks to the Matrix. So this is actually really important to understand. So stick with me, guys. Today, I want to talk about numbers. Whoa. Numbers? Come on. Come on. This can't really be that deep, is it? Numbers? Come on. Yes. People want views. They want more subscribers. They want a number. People want numbers all day long. They want more numbers in their bank account. Oh, their number is this? Well, I want more numbers in that account. I want numbers to purchase things. Numbers affect every aspect of your life. Every single aspect of your life has come down to numbers. So we can pretty much say that numbers tend to make people think that they're happy. This is a delusion. This is not real, because numbers can't make you happy. Remember the Bob Marley quote? You know, numbers are infinite. And if your search for happiness is money or a number, well, your journey's never going to end. It's never going to end. You're never going to arrive at happiness. It makes no sense to somebody who can think critically. It doesn't make any sense to anybody who wants to achieve happiness, because it doesn't really make sense. If you win the lottery, is that the number? No, because that number is going to diminish, and you're not going to be as happy as when you had that first initial number. And you're going to have to invest it or whatever to even sustain your lifestyle. So if I was to go up to a woman right now and be like, hey, have sex with me, here's $1. Woman's going to look at me like I'm crazy. That's not enough value. That's not enough money. That's not enough numbers. Go up to another girl, $10. Same thing. Not enough money, not enough value, not enough currency, not enough numbers. Go up to another woman, $100. $100? Semi-attractive guy. You got a condom? You know what I'm getting at? $1,000. They'd be crazy. They'd be foolish to say no, because that number is a value to that person. So people are willing to do crazy shit for a number. So there's always that thing, would you do this for $1 million? Yeah, chances are you would. You'd be foolish not to, because in the Matrix, you are successful due to the amount of numbers in your bank account, the amount of numbers that you have, right? So that's how foolish this Matrix is. Now, I'm not going to dive into the banking aspect of this, but this will be perhaps the next video when we talk about the banking scheme. Outside of this Matrix, numbers don't exist. Outside of the Matrix, numbers do not exist. That's why they brainwash you to keep you chasing numbers all day long. Because in the Matrix, you are powerless and you are a slave to numbers. You give up your passions for numbers. Your dreams, your goals, just walking in the woods, hanging out with your children. You give that up for a number. Do you realize this? You give up spending time with your children for a number. Do you understand that? You are willing to bring your kids to school where they raise your children instead of you raising them. Why? Because you need a number. The number took place of the value of the time that you had for your children. to be there with your children, teach your children, raise your children. That is given up and forfeited so you can run the hamster wheel for a fucking number. Again, numbers don't exist outside of the matrix. The matrix is designed to keep you a slave. However, this deception can only be brought forth if they can convince the masses that the matrix is life. That everything in life is in the matrix. This whole scheme of creating a slave-like society to better the lives of a few and to ruin your lives because you are convinced you need numbers to survive. As a man, convinced you need numbers to have a decent wife, to have a decent life, to have a nice toys. It takes consciousness to believe in numbers and to add a perceptible value to those numbers. They brainwash us to create this matrix. How else could bankers rule over us? They have created value from numbers. They have created a slave system from numbers. Numbers is everything. Bankers have all the power because they claim ownership of that monetary system through numbers. And that you as a person can get it through them. They can loan it out to a person, to a government, to a corporation. They have convinced you that they have some monopoly on money. And that money comes from a number instead of actual value. And they've created this system because you believe that their number is valuable. Without cooperation, there would be no matrix. As early as 4 or 5 years old, they get you into their indoctrination camps. And the first things they want to teach you is numbers. Add, subtract. 4 or 5 years old, kindergarten. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 6 plus 3 equals 9. Once you know how to do the equation, you're good. You don't need to do the same thing 500,000 times. Worksheets of 20 questions, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Over and over and over again for years and years and years and years. You know how to do it. Why do they keep adding these numbers into the mix when you already know how to figure it out? It's to flood your mind of numbers. Go to the root word of numbers. It is numb. It is designed to numb your mind and to appreciate the perception of this matrix. In order to flood your mind, they have to keep asking you the same fucking question over and over and over and over again. You know 2 plus 2 equals 4. You know the process. Now, why are you still looking at numbers? You know how to do it. Why 1,000 different questions? Why your math test has 50 questions on the exact same thing? In kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, you know how to add. Why year after year after day after month after whatever do you have to keep learning this? It's to flood your mind with numbers. It's to numb your mind of reality and surrender to a fucking number and then indoctrinate you into the matrix. It's to numb your mind of reality and multi-perception and then stick you into a box with everyone else in a single mind perception of a single matrix, of a single physical realm, in a mental realm, in a box. And to make sure that you're an obedient slave inside the matrix. This matrix has multiple levels. Numbers is the foundation and the building blocks of the whole matrix. The crazy thing about numbers is they can't be precise. Because in reality, numbers don't exist. Numbers only exist in the matrix. That's why when you try to figure out things using numbers, you're always just so close to reality. But because of numbers, you need to come as close as possible to try to understand it as much as possible. That's why when you look at pi, you have an endless number Because there is no number. You can just be extremely close to the number, but you'll never be there because it doesn't exist. Same thing with the golden ratio. It's not a specific number. It's a trend. There's a pattern. And once you realize that life is all about patterns and trends and not numbers, you can successfully start getting out of this matrix and seeing things for what they are. We use numbers all the time to get down to the understanding of things, to the deepest roots, to identify and understand how things operate. But this is only in the matrix. We can only get as close to something as we can to try to understand it as much as possible. But we're never going to figure out the truth and have a map for the truth using numbers. You can only get close. This is the thing I was talking about in time in my video called Let's Talk About Time, which is about a 35-minute video or so. And I talk about, basically, I set an argument forward talking about how time doesn't exist. Why numbers is the fabric of time. And the same thing with distance. I talk about distance has a lot to do with numbers. Time, distance, everything that we think of as our reality and our matrix has to do with numbers and to understand the numbers. But here's the thing. Numbers is an instrument of our mind. This is something that is told to you. This is not something that is in real life. This is something that is orchestrated on top of the matrix in order to understand and perceive the matrix. Physics, time, distance. These are calculated by numbers. Numbers where you say, this is an inch, this is whatever it is, right? This is 4 inches because 1 inch was this. And then you calculate it like that. But here's the thing. It's just a way to understand something and to put things into a box of perception. And this perception can only be of this matrix. This single matrix. This uniform matrix. The one that we all live in right now. In order for us to calculate time, let's say a day is 24 hours. Well, a day isn't 24 hours. It just makes sense to calculate it as such because of a calendar system. 24 hours, 60 minutes in an hour, so on and so forth. And then you go up to a day, then you do 30, sometimes 31 days in a month, 12 months out of the year. You know, this calendar is very precise as we can get it. But if we wanted it to be more precise, we would have to dive into, well, some days might be 23 hours a day. Some might be 25 hours a day. And sometimes leap years and this, that, and the third. We try to be as close as possible. But we're never going to be precise. So we're sticking with the same calendar system that's semi-working. You know, sometimes the sun rises at 6 a.m. Sometimes it rises at 8. Depends on where you are. It depends on your time zone. Like, everything is a factor. So we can be close, but we'll never be precise. But to think that this is linear and this is only it, these numbers, this is it, this is the best we got. It isn't. It can always get closer. Same goes with government. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm an anarchist. I'm outside the matrix, outside the box thinker. All right? I would like life outside of the matrix. However, the government and the banks and this huge scheme and the occult and everybody and all the powers that be all orchestrated this and perfected it, this matrix over thousands of years. And the main priority was numbers and to get you in that box of numbers. And what we have today are people so brainwashed, so indoctrinated, they want socialism. Why? Because with government, there's going to be problems. Because this is you controlling everything. Same thing goes with the, looking at calendars, right? Let's go back to calendars. You try to be as close as possible with calendars, numbers, time, distance. But it's a conscious perception of all this stuff. It is not objective. It does not exist outside of the matrix. But you try to be as close as possible. So humans outside of the matrix would be in anarchy. But we have government trying to create a socialist society where they control more and more and more and more and more and more and more of everything Just like you try to be as close to the truth and the close to understanding things as possible. But it's never going to work because you're just creating a deeper rabbit hole of this matrix. Something that's harder to weasel your way out. Just like anything else. Just like a gun. Just like anything else. Numbers are an instrument. That's all it is. It's an instrument in the matrix. It's actually the building blocks of the matrix. It's an instrument of the matrix. It can be used for good or bad. It's your perception if that's moral to be used as something of the sort. Create slavery. Numbers are modern slavery. And it's not that I'm saying that what is used in this matrix is all evil. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying this as a doom and gloom. I'm just explaining the truth. That numbers are orchestrated into the minds of the conscious in order to deliberately create a matrix. That is it. So I guess that's the end of this video. I hope you guys get something out of this, and stay tuned for more content. Peace.
We go wild, where is safari?